Right, we're live. Aye. I most certainly do. So here we go. Hi Stephen. Hi Stephen. Hi Stuart. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard, folks. When you get a couple of minutes, we'll get you a couple of minutes past 4, and then we'll get the show underway. Give people a chance to get in. A wee public service announcement for anybody that's interested. There's a welcome to Glasgow for Billy Bragg at the Kelvin Grove Bandstand tonight, 7 p.m. Free concert for anybody who wants to get along. Alan Smart made me aware of it, asked me to advertise it this morning, but I'd already started my show. And the other thing is, folks, the Indie 2 Cafe are having a charity night at the General Motors Club in Holytown in North Lanarkshire on the 24th of September. Ticket price is £10, raffle tickets and buffet included, and live entertainment. So if you can come along, please do. You can get the tickets at the Indie 2 Cafe Facebook page, or you go to my Facebook page and scroll down, you'll see. You will see the link for Agnes Kerr, and she'll organise your ticket. Okay, so that's the 2 public service announcements today. Good afternoon, folks. Here we go. Jim. Hi, Jim. Hi, Neil. Hi, Alex. Hi, Stuart. The subjects we're going to cover this afternoon, folks, are the race to be the next Prime Minister or Dawn of the Conservative Crime Syndicate, the industrial actions that's taking place at the moment with the RMT squaring up to the government, and of course the living crisis. We'll go a wee bit into why it's unnecessary here in Scotland, and then we'll finish off talking about the campaign to cancel direct debit. So that's where we are today, folks. That's what we're going to be talking about. So good afternoon. Okay, doggy. Hey, David Milligan, happy anniversary. Your anniversary today, David?
Yeah.
I never know.
Yeah. I'd had time off for good behaviour before this.
Yeah, afternoon, Margaret. So, David, what have you made of the race to become the next Dawn of the Conservative Party's crime syndicate?
I'm proud to say I haven't watched one single TV debate. I haven't really taken any notice of what Sunak or Truss are saying, because to me, it's just they're removing one fascist and choosing between 2 fascists, which one's going to be installed into number 10, right? That's a simple answer. However, what we're looking at between Sunak and Liz Truss, no matter how you look at it, it's going to be a complete bloody mess. And that is why Boris Johnson said, hasta la vista, baby. He didn't finish that up by, what did he not put in?
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Yeah. Because
what I've found fascinating about it is they go each other. I mean, there's even the Times is running a campaign to get Boris to rescind his resignation. Wow, apparently there's about 10,000 signatures on it.
Yeah.
But the 2 that are running, and the wrong-minded ideas on the economy. One wants to give tax breaks to the rich. The other one wants to hold off on tax breaks. Sunak did a U-turn on the VAT on energy, but with the energy crisis, which we'll talk about a wee bit later, it's a vote winner. And apparently Sunak's running about everywhere trying to get in front because Truss has got the advantage of being white. You know.
Yeah, that makes her. You know, you can also see, you can see in the polling that's been done, has been reported that Liz Truss is still ahead regarding the membership of the Tory party.
And they're the important people. They are the important people. They're the ones that get to decide who's going to be the next going of the crime syndicate down that road.
Yeah,
because make no mistake, it is a criminal cabal. It's not a government.
We're now living with coming genocide. The Tories are basically thinking, not saying, but thinking survival of the fittest. And it is an existential threat to every single one of us on a normal income and all the rest of it. You are not going to get anything from the Tories that's going to be helpful. Sunak might take some of the VAT off. He won't take all of that off, right? But he'll take some of the VAT off. That's not going to help people. That's not going to help people.
Oh, you had to get partly reduce it, is it? It's only 5%.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, but as I say, it's fascinating to watch them going at each other and ripping each other to bits. And talking about Liz Truss telling Sunak, where's the growth been for the last 3 years? You've been Chancellor. You're wrong-headed on this. And she's wrong-headed on it and all. If we're going to get out, if they were going to even try to get out of the situation they're in, they'd be investing in the people and infrastructure and such things. The things that generate money in the economy.
These people are not going to help us. They're not going to help us. We've got to help ourselves.
Apparently, we will get the London bus driver back on. Good afternoon, John. He was at his local Conservative club last night where they were discussing Scotland. And the truth is, if there's an early general election, Scotland could not have a plebiscite in an early election. Of course we could. What about today's publish a manifesto, John, that says that this is a question, this is a one issue election. So your idea that we couldn't just produce a manifesto on a single issue within seconds is absolutely bonkers, John. It's absolutely bonkers. But you're welcome. John, I always find your comments stimulating. And as I say, you're welcome to campaign to keep Scotland in the Union. That's your right. But it's only your bloody right if you're willing to admit that we've got a democratic mandate to hold that referendum in the first place. Otherwise, you don't have a right to have an opinion.
And
get your government to put a Section 30 order on the table, then you can have your say. Anyway,
then when we vote for our independence, John, right? I can assure you, Little England won't have a blooming say in it. It'll be down to the other countries recognising us as a free, independent, sovereign nation.
Oh, no, listen, people don't give Mr. Burgess a hard time. He's welcome to his point of view. And I'm very glad that he's here to give us his point of view. Right, where were we? We're talking about the Tory leadership race. And absolutely fascinating to watch it. I mean, Doncaster all of a sudden's in Scotland or something. Or was it Durham or something like that? They don't even have geography right. You know?
Yeah. Darlington. It was mentioned
Mr. Sunak's promised to drive down the search for Scottish independence by whatever means possible, but he's rang.
We haven't supported.
Hey, hold on a minute. John's just saying I'm rang. You would have to wait 5 years. The fact is, please do your research on this. I don't need to do any research on it, John. We vote for political parties on political manifestos. And as a single issue manifesto, it only takes a couple of minutes to produce, John. And me being rang and you telling us what we can and can't do is the arrogance of the people of England. Don't tell us what we can and can't do. It's none of your business. Okay. And we've also been told there's no such thing as a democratic mandate, John. We've also been told that our democracy doesn't matter no matter what we say, and that you will decide what our independence looks like. Well, gaslighting's amazing. The mere fact that people like you who are a working class man in London not being able to see through the gaslighting and the danger there is to your own democracy is bloody frightening to us guys up here, John. But what I can tell you is we've got bus drivers up here in Ossa, so you'll be welcome in an independent Scotland. I'll even let you come and work in the bus garage I'm working on.
You're the best one.
Right, now, we're supposed to be talking about the Tory leadership. But obviously, we want the comments to be we want the people to interact with us as well. And John, you're very welcome to come up with these things here because it's good to discuss them. Sunak's going to quash the suds for Scottish independence by whatever means possible, and Liz Truss is going to is going to cripple the trade unions, which brings us on to the next subject we want to talk about because it's only a half an hour show, and that is the industrial action by the RMT. How do you think the RMT trade union has conducted itself in this matter, David?
Well, to be honest with you, I can't argue with anybody that is looking at their earnings being eaten up by the cost of living crisis, saying, right, I need a raise here, right? Well, and obviously the unions are formed to basically bargain that on their behalf, right? So really more power to the unions. But what's going to happen is we've got people like I don't know. I think I saw George Eustace on the other day there talking about, we've got to deal with these unions the same way as we dealt with during Maggie Thatcher's time, and that is a ridiculous Tory position. Instead of getting in and discussing the situation, these people, they're prepared to take less than the cost of living rise. And the bloke was on this morning discussing that. He said, look, we're prepared to take less than 11% or whatever, right? We know we're not going to get everything we asked for, but at least we don't want to be rolling back any further. And we definitely don't want people losing their jobs over it, because this promise that they're not going to give redundancies was a big issue with the union. So, and I can't help but agree with them. Simple as that.
Well, hey John, you could be welcome in Scotland anytime, sir. You'll find us very, very, very helpful people, and we have double-decker buses here as well, but they're no red, so I'm afraid you will have to stay in London if you want to drive.
We'll take you for a pint, and convert you to independence. How's about that, John?
Right. Anyway, I've got the way that Mick Lynch and his deputy have handled himself during these negotiations have been absolutely bang on the money. And it fed into something I was saying the day about the energy companies gouging us, and they're the real drivers of inflation, the energy companies, because business is there's no cap for business, so the cost of businesses is soaring. That's got to be passed on to the consumer. They're driving inflation, the energy companies, and the train companies, all these people who are gouging money out of the economy. I mean, train prices in the UK are the highest in Europe. Mick Lynch says that they took 500 million out in dividends for the rail network, and that they want to reduce the amount of safety officers and maintenance officers by 1,200, making the network unsafe. We've seen that before under a Thatcher and all, and we had a few rail disasters back in the day as well.
Well, I also heard stories about the free rail travel in several different countries, but the ScotRail are also doing their own little campaign called Free Stuff, right? The only thing better than a cheap day out is a free day out. Some of the best ways to get something for nothing. Kids go free deals. Glasgow Museums, National Museum of Scotland, right? It's all about train travel to these places, right? But there are countries where they're actually offering their citizens free rail travel. No age limit on it, just free. There you go.
Well,
what's the benefit of that?
Listen, if we're going to ever get to our climate change targets, public transport's going to have to be free anyway.
Yeah,
you know?
Correct. Yeah. And if mass transport has to be free, if you're going to get people to get out their cars, it's fine taking up riding a bicycle.
Let's go back on track. The Conservative Party and their attitude to the trade union movement. George Eustace, Grant Sharp, the way they're all talking about restricting the trade unions reminds me very much of May 2nd, 1933, when Adolf Hitler, said we have to close the trade union offices, we have to take away the workers' rights. And that's a frightening comparison. We've had a lot of comparisons on England's slow march to fascism.
Yeah.
Oh. And the F word, the fascism word, has been used by Scottish politicians in the Houses of Parliament to describe exactly what's happening down there with the draconian laws that they're passing and things like that. I mean, that police crime and sentencing bill, it didn't just crack down a noisy protest. It actually outlawed the gypsy travellers while living, the Romano gypsies while living. I mean, there's a pattern here. It started out 12 years ago, and the UN Rapporteur actually backs this up. It started out 12 years ago with the persecution of the disabled. That was the first item Hitler did in Nazi Germany. Now they're on to the Romano gypsies. That was number 2. Which religious group's getting it next? Because Hitler moved on to religion after that.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. We've been persecuting the Islamic people here in the UK for years now. Our press has demonised them as bloody terrorists. I mean, the steps to fascism and the fight with the trade unions that's coming up isn't just going to be with the RMT. You can bet your boots every trade union right across these islands are going to turn their eyes on Westminster, because Westminster is where the treasury is. The Scottish, the Welsh and the Northern Irish governments are on fixed budgets.
Yeah.
We're looking at a general strike. That's what I mean. If they decide to take on the trade union movement and attack workers' rights the way they are, especially that new law that they've just passed to allow private companies to hire in agency workers while their own workers are on a strike. What we're seeing here is a deregulation of the labour market.
And if you remember the P&O thing,
yes,
where that's what they did, and now they've legislated to allow them to do it.
Kwasi Kwarteng, the business minister, P&O, right out of order. A couple of months later, he's introducing a bill to let everybody do it. Unbloody believable. Unbelievable. The deregulation of the labour market and the end to workers' rights is happening right in front of our bloody faces. And then, of course, we'll get Priti Patel trying to introduce new laws to outlaw protest because they know civil unrest is coming. When people can't feed their families, which feeds right into the cost of living crisis, which is our next subject. When people can't feed their family, they've got two options. They can either protest and bring down the government, or they can take to stealing for each other. And the other thing that's going to cause civil unrest down that road, because remember, these laws don't apply in Scotland. The other thing that's going to cause unrest down that road is the fact that Scotland will be leaving. Simple as that. But let's get back to the cost of living crisis. It's now being projected that energy prices will rise by 77-78% in October. Now, we've just had the latest food price inflation figures out. Food price inflation in the month of June, I got it rang this morning, was 9.8%. I said it was 5%, but that was the baseline figure. And it would appear that the poorest people are actually suffering inflationary pressures to the tune of 20% of their income. Now let's go back to the rise in energy costs to $4,000 a year. If you're on the minimum wage, that's a third of your wage. Or roughly, maybe even more than a third. Quick calculation.
This truly is an existential crisis, and everybody needs to realise that.
Wait a minute, David. Quick calculation. 40 times, what is the minimum wage? £9.50. £9.58.
What? Minimum wage is
£9.53. £9.53, thank you. Let's say £381 a month times 48, 18,000 a year is the minimum wage, right? So after tax, what we're talking about? We're talking about taking home 15,000. 4,000 of that going in your energy costs. Wow.
Yeah.
So you got 15 grand, 4,000 in your energy costs, another 4,000 for your rent. There's 8 grand. Your rent for your mortgage. There's 8 grand away. Couple of kids you've got to feed. A car that you've got in finance. Throw all these things in, and people are right on the breadline. That's why it's you have to have 2 parents in a family working now, David.
Yeah.
No.
And even at that, in a lot of cases, is not enough. You know, I was discussing with my daughter the other day there about your flat, renting flats, and I said to her, well, you know, they're around about 450, 500 quid. She says, you won't find a flat for that now. Yeah, you'd be struggling to get a flat for 500 quid a month. She said it's more likely 550, 600 quid thereabouts.
Aye.
You know, so just looking at that, people are not going to survive this. It literally is, as I say, it's an existential crisis. We've come to the end of the line.
David, hold on. People don't pile on Johnny. He is entitled to his opinion. He is entitled to be in favour of the union. I mean, for John, it's a nostalgic thing. For him, it was Waterloo, and 2 world wars, and the family and nations. For him, down that road, he didn't see the democratic deficit. Yeah. So don't pile on John. By all means, debate with John. But don't pile on him, folks.
Maybe the most important thing to say to John on it is that after we've given Westminster its P45, then the social union will still exist in all that history. The First World War, Second World War, all the rest of it, where my family, David's family, took part in it, right? That still exists. So, John, please don't worry about the Scotland becoming an independent country. The only reason to worry about Scotland becoming an independent country is purely and simply it's a financial thing. And England will feel the draft of Scotland leaving because we are taking our resources and we will control our resources. Anyway, that's all I want to say to John. Have a good day, John.
Wait a minute. John's got a point on the cost of living crisis. You're going about the cost of living crisis, right? People should stop buying branded foods. If they are cold, make a cup of hot tea and go to bed early. We overcame the Second World War. We will overcome this. John, I mean, you are a Tory, right? But you don't really get the concept of how government works. The reason why we have a cost of living crisis is because your government in Westminster refuses to legislate to put a stop to the rampant profiteering which is bringing people to their knees. And by the way, John, our electricity prices and gas use up here is much higher than it is in London because it's much colder here. And people up here will be paying more towards the cost of energy than what you do in London because it's heavily subsidised by the people of Scotland, who get 97% of its energies for renewable. We don't burn oil and gas to make energy up here in Scotland. We pay the cost we pay for our energy in this cost of living crisis because yous in England don't have energy security and yous in England have not modernised the way you get your power. And it is your fault for taking your eye off the ball. You're talking about being a conservative. Your particular political party has been in office for the majority of the last 50 years, but you have taken your eye off the ball, you members of the Conservative Party. They're even ripping the piss out of yous guys. A working class Tory.
Three questions for John here. Who are you going to vote for, Sunak or Truss?
I will, we'll get John's comment on it. But this all this stuff about the Second World War and all that, it's just nonsense. The social union is much more important than some bit of history. But going forward, you see, we already have energy security in Scotland, food security in Scotland. We don't have the sort of problems that you have in England. And that's because people like you and the Conservative Party, John, took your eye off the ball and allowed them to rampant profiteer rather than look after the assets of the United Kingdom. Yeah. Meaning they sold off all the utility companies, so your energy prices and your water prices are through the bloody roof. Unfortunately, our energy prices are through the roof, and all water's a different matter here. We don't pay for it by the litre.
When I lived in England, I was in England for 18 years, John, and a lot of the people I knew were like normal working people, working class people, right? Who voted Tory. And at that time, I've got to say, the mindset was exactly the same. It was Maggie Thatcher that was on the throne at the time, and basically, they just bought into everything that she did. And it really is. It's almost like walking about blind.
Fair enough, John. You prefer John's answered your question, David. John says he would prefer Jacob Rees-Mogg as the Conservative leader.
Well, that's not an answer, is it? That's not an answer.
He does say he wishes whoever wins well.
Aye, but if he's a Tory party member, then obviously he's going to take part in the polling, I would imagine.
No doubt.
And choose between Sunak and Truss. And that's what I was asking, what he was going to vote for. Anyway,
the rampant energy costs, and the cost of living crisis, we can lay them squarely at the door of the Westminster government. We've got Brexit throwing up costs. We've got the energy companies gouging us, throwing up costs. And of course, we have the contraction in the market, meaning that there's less people to sell to. We used to have 500 million people to sell to. Now we've only got 65 million people to sell to. So the contraction in the market's inevitable. So John says he's going to vote for Sunak in the vote. Fair enough, John.
All right, that's your choice, John.
You have a vote, John. But remember,
it's your choice.
you're a member of the party, John. You can influence policy. You can influence things like the cost of living crisis, which I know you, as a bus driver in London, will be feeling as hard as the rest of us. But our answer is not to give up our standards of living and go to bed early. Our answer is to take them on.
Yep. Okay. Look, I'm very mindful of the fact we're practically at the end of the half-hour show, right?
Right.
I did want to talk more on the cost of living crisis, the energy companies, and all the rest of it. I mean, David, you took in the profits made by. Can you just outline those just before we go?
Oh, Centrica have posted 5 times the profits they had in 2021 at 1.25 billion. We have got Shell posting profits of £9 billion and BP posting profits of £12 billion for the last quarter. This is gouging, folks. That's all it is gouging. That's all it is.
A lot of people
at its finest, John, if you think that this is utopia at its finest, when we have the UN rapporteur telling us that we have killed 220,000 of our citizens since your party came to power unnecessarily through austerity. They've killed another 186,000 by no complying with what the emergency procedures are for a pandemic. If you think we are there, and of course the shrinking in the market from 500 million people to 65 million people, leading to a recession no matter which one of the two Muppets make it into number 10. If you think this is utopia at its finest, getting a cup of tea and going to your bed early because you're cold, and Absolutely. John, I think the propaganda doing that road's really working. It really is. Now, let's get to the last couple of minutes on ditch a direct debit, David, because there's two campaigns going. There's the one that you and I have going, try to get people to ditch the direct debit now, and there's the big UK official one, UK don't pay. Right.
I believe the UK one is badly named because it gives people the wrong impression.
Yes.
That it's called Don't Pay UK. It's not about that. It's about ditching your direct debit. What they are basically saying is they're saying if they don't get any proper action from the energy companies or the British government, then they will be telling people on the 1st of October to ditch the direct debit. What I'm doing and what David's doing is we are telling people, look, do it now, because I tell you what, 78% rise. The energy companies will be rubbing their hands with glee and just figuring how much extra they can take out of your bank account to make, pay their shareholders, keep them to the style to which they've become accustomed, and they'll be paying their board members blooming nice big bonuses, and they'll be playing on the blooming international market with the amount of credit that you've built up on that account. Ditch the direct debit, and basically that causes them cash flow problems, because we've said before, it takes the ability away for it to be able to scoop your account for what they bloody want, and they make it whereby they've got to bill you. And to the older people that have been messaging me constantly, I've been in tears.
David, you think about it, $4,000. The state pension is $9,000 a year. $4,000. $4,000, that's going to be their electricity costs. Wow.
I've got people that are literally crying their eyes out over this.
Hey, David, we're going to have to extend this programme for a couple of minutes because Scott Noble's brought up Starmer being a red Tory and won't make a difference who they vote for. I would like to see that Starmer's a performance during the industrial action which is going on with the RMT has been disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And that late press bulletin yesterday saying they will always stand by workers who are trying to improve their paying conditions. Stand by. That's why the Labour movement is knackered as far as political parties go. They're not supposed to be standing by. They're supposed to be leading the bloody thing. You know.
Yeah.
But on the direct debit, you know what people don't realise is we used to pay for our electricity use after we'd used it. Now we're all paying for it in advance of using it. We have to get back to where they have to come out and read a meter and give us an itemised bill and soak up the 28 days we've got legally to pay that bill.
Yeah, I used to pay on the red bill. Always paid in the red bill. Something as that.
We have to get back
the
to that.
bill that came through, third bill, the red bill, that's when we get taken and paid. Simple as that.
Yep. And the red bill would come out 21 days in because you had 28 days to pay. You know? So, we have to get back to that.
Yeah. And to those people that have got direct debits running and they've got a big glut of money sitting there because the energy company scooped you hard to keep you ahead of the game, right? So,
hey, David, 2 seconds, I'll let you carry on. John, get back and finish your shift, mate. Thanks very much for dropping in on your break. I hope you and the London bus drivers enjoy the show.
The people that have built up a big credit account because they've been scooping you hard to keep you ahead, supposed to be, right? It's going to be difficult for you to get that money back out of them. You can, but it's going to be a struggle to get it out of them, right? The pragmatic way to look at it is, right, you've got a big lot of money sitting there. Just what you do is use it up. Simple as that. And get them to send you a bill. Maybe send them a tenner or something like that just to keep them happy that there's money coming in until that's used up, right? So at the end of the day, also, if you're in a situation where you can't pay what's been asked, now there's going to be a load of people in this situation. You're not alone, right? I say to you, please don't get in a situation of not paying them anything. If you do that, then you're on a treadmill, basically, that ends up with some kind of silly court action. Okay, the courts might come down your side, but what I would say to you is pay them something, pay them what you can, and leave yourself enough money to live.
Yep.
Because this is going to be hard for a whole lot of people. It really, really is.
People, David, they're going to kill thousands of pensioners this winter. $4,000 is that leaves them $5,000 for housing costs and for heating. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary. The state pension's only £9,000 pound a year.
Yeah.
And 4,000 of that's going to go on your energy cost to run your house.
Yeah.
And we all ken how older people feel the cold, Merlin, than young people.
That's right. And also, they succumb quicker because what they do is they switch off the heating. They get used to the heating being off. Actual fact, their wee heart's blooming going 10 to the dozen. Try and keep going. That's what takes a lot of people. It is what takes a lot of people.
Right. Our 30 minutes is up. In fact, we're over by 4 minutes because we didn't really start until 42 minutes past. So, mind folks, if you can make it to the MD2 Cafe a gig on the 24th of September, love to see you there. I might even go up and do the classics, like a car crash and a Dougie Dugdale and the Ruthie Tank Commander. You might even get a wee rant out of me. My wife in the shops topping up her electric at £30 for the week. That's only going to do 2 days soon. You're right. You're right, Gordon. Yeah. But it's time for us to round it up again, guys. David, I'll let you say a few words and then I'll finish us off.
A few words?
Aye.
There you go. Thank you all for coming along and joining in. And I really hope you take the Kill the Direct Debit protest really seriously. I know there's a lot of people that are on prepay meters. I do appreciate that. And
Alex, we'll take that on board. If you think the programme needs to be a wee bit longer, we can maybe up to 45 minutes. We don't want to bore people too much.
The fact that somebody on prepay meter, last I know, just down the road, she paid £40 and it lasted her for 2 days. 2 days, 40 quid, right? You just multiply that out for a month and you just go, forget it. That's stupid, right? If you've got a direct debit, it's you people that I'm asking. Kill your direct debit. Kill the cash flow of the energy companies. Send them a really powerful message and let's get it done. Every revolution starts with one wee bit of defiance. And this is a wee bit of defiance that you can do, right? We get an effect out of this. You'll see how easy it is. You'll see how people power works. That's all I want to say. And thank you very much.
Right, folks. Thanks very much for joining us today. I want to thank the comments. People on the comments once again. John's comments were great. Scott's comment towards the end on Starmer was great. All your comments have been great. Sorry we couldn't interact with you more, but we have subjects we need to talk about while we're doing this. 45 is too short. 45, no too short or too long, to be honest. Okay, Stephen, I say we'll take it into consideration. We've almost been 45 minutes today. 40 minutes actually. So we're going to end this here. Thanks for joining our discussion today. And we'll see you next week on the Thursday. And if anything really stupid comes up, we want to have a chat with you, we'll maybe go live before that. Okay. Now, you guys, have a nice day. Look after yourselves.